to Gambling with an Edge with your hosts Bob Dancer and Richard Munchkin. Bob Dancer is America's premier video poker writer and teacher. He's written 10 books, including Video Poker for the Intelligent Beginner and the best-selling $1 Million Video Poker. He helped develop the computer software Video Poker for Winners, and in 2004 he was inducted into the Video Poker Hall of Fame. Richard Munchkin has been a professional advantage player for over 30 years and is in the Blackjack Hall of Fame. His book, Gambling Wizards, Conversations with the World's Greatest Gamblers, is a testament to the many ways you can succeed at gambling. The goal of the show is that you'll be a more knowledgeable gambler tomorrow than you were yesterday. And now, here are Bob and Richard.
Good evening. Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. I'm Bob Dancer.
And I'm Richard Munchkin.
Our guest tonight is Gavin Smith, poker player. We will be talking to Gavin shortly. Last week, I mentioned there was somebody who had stiffed me for money, and I was talking to Bob Nersessian about it, and I agreed not to mention the guy's name as long as he made regular payments. So as of today, he had not made a payment. 15 minutes ago, I did get a text message from him saying he's at Western Union, he's about to send it. He's going to send me the tracking number. It has not come yet. But I will, actually I just got a tracking number from him, so I'm going to hold off for one more week. If indeed the money is there at Western Union tomorrow, I will not say his name on the air. If he misses a week, you will hear about it here. So my computer has locked up, and so I'm not able to get to my notes tonight. So I'm going this a little bit blind, but we
were going to talk first, Bob, about the Ken Adams article.
Good. Ken Adams had an article about fact-checking. Fact-checking is getting your story straight. Now, I read the article. I thought it was sort of interesting, but no big deal. What about the article? Hit your button, Richard.
This is one of my pet peeves. And his article was about someone else comparing horse racing in Hong Kong to the win in Las Vegas. And what he was pointing out is that the reporter didn't understand the difference between handle and win and profit. And so he was trying to compare handle to profit or handle to win. And I just see this so often, a lot in articles about gambling, but also in any articles that involve any sort of rudimentary math, where the reporters, not only do they not understand what they're talking about, they don't do any fact checking. They don't take the time to run it by somebody who can tell them what it is they're talking about. So I just was very much in agreement with Ken on that in that article, and it's just one of the things that drives me crazy.
Well, it should not be a surprise that you know more about gambling than most people writing in articles. You and I claim to be experts on it, so of course we will know better, and we're going to be better at math. But in general, you find this happens a lot.
I do, but Bob, we're also writers,
yes.
And if I'm going to write about something, I really try to go out of my way to make sure that it's factually accurate. And if I'm going to write about, French cooking, not that I would, but if I was, I would go talk to somebody who is a French chef to make sure that they would look over what I had written and say, am I getting this right? Or if I'm doing a scene in a movie, about an auto mechanic, I would make sure that we asked an auto mechanic, is it right that he's holding that particular wrench? You know what I mean?
Have you ever had it had to be submitted by 5 o'clock? It's 4:45 now, and you got to turn in the best you can do. And
I certainly had some term papers like that.
Well, I don't know that that's what happened in this particular case, but I've actually had things out there, and I get when I make a mistake on my blog, which does happen more than I would like. I would like to have it perfect, and actually somebody edits it and he catches some stuff. But my readers come back at me frequently, sometimes in a friendly manner, sometimes not so much. But okay, Elliot Jacobson. Elliot has been on this show a couple times, and he has a website called apheat.com, and he sends out emails to anybody who wants them. You can sign up on his list, and you get them a couple times a week. Today, he posted one of Richard's cartoons about the world's greatest gambling authority, and Elliot implied that this cartoon was a spoof of him, Elliot Jacobson. Now, the cartoon was originally published in late May on richardmunchkin.com, and when I first saw the cartoon, I didn't realize it was supposed to be a parody of Jacobson. Munch, did you have Elliot specifically in mind when you published the cartoon?
Well, I do have to admit that there were several things in that cartoon that Elliot does give seminars to people, and he has gotten people fired up about the 21+3 side bet, which he says is only worth $9 an hour. So I have to admit that he was the inspiration for that particular cartoon. He also sent me kind of a nice email saying, "Gee, I saw this and it wasn't about me and it was really funny and thanks a lot," which was a much better reaction, I guess, than I would have hoped for.
All right.
So yeah.
It's all in good fun. Okay.
So, I'm glad he took it with a grain of salt and.
Well, it had to be a cartoon. Obviously, it was over the top. So
but it just shows you that. I subscribe to his blog, so I get everything in the email. But he must not subscribe to mine if it took him that long to find it.
Yeah, he said he found it on YouTube, but interesting. Oh. He couldn't have looked up Elliot Jacobson because it wasn't under that. Could he possibly have looked up world's greatest gambling authority? That can't be. That would not be something.
What he was Googling. I don't know.
You can't do that very frequently. All right, Nolan Dalla, who media director for the World Series of Poker, he has a blog on nolandalla.com, and occasionally Nolan asks people, usually poker players, 10 questions. He calls it facing the firing squad. Now, those are always the same 10 questions. What person do you admire most? Or what's the worst thing about you? Or what movie do you like? So anybody who's called, if you're going to face the firing squad tomorrow, you can prepare for it beforehand and try to think up something clever between now and then. Now, Munchkin, you seem to be a big fan of this blog. Yes?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of about 20% of his blog. I think Nolan has. I think Nolan tries to write too much. It seems like he feels like he has to post something every day, and because of that, there are a lot of posts that I'm just not interested in at all. But occasionally, he has some stuff that's really great. I'm not sure you're correct that it's always the same 10 questions, because he just in his blog today, he had a face the firing squad, and it seemed to me that some of the questions he asked the woman in the blog today were different than the ones he asked Gavin. And actually, Gavin faced the firing squad with Nolan, and actually, I want to ask him about one of the comments he made in that. So when we get him on the air, we'll follow up with him about facing the firing squad.
Well, speaking of Gavin, why don't you introduce him, Munchkin, and then you can ask away about facing the firing squad.
Okay. Gavin Smith is a professional poker player, probably best known for winning the WPT Player of the Year in 2005. And in the World Poker Tour Season 4, he won the Mirage Poker Showdown Championship. And he has at least one World Series bracelet from 2010. I don't know how he did this year. We'll ask him about that as well. So, Gavin, welcome to Gambling with an Edge.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, so the first thing I wanted to ask you about was this Nolan Dalla blog. And one of the questions he had in this Facing the Firing Squad was, I think the question was, who do you most despise? And your answer was Men the Master for obvious reasons.
Right.
And I'm just curious what the obvious reasons were.
I mean, he's a pretty horrible human being, in my opinion. He's awful to dealers. He's nasty when he loses, like beyond belief. He's got a reputation for done some pretty shady things in poker, and I don't know. He's just not a guy that I like very much. He acts like he's your friend at one moment, and then he'll be like one of the meanest people ever at another moment. And he's just not the type of character that I enjoy being around. So, when put on the spot as to who I kind of despised in poker, I think it was in poker more or less, because I mean, there's probably actually there might not be, but there could be somebody I despise as much. But in poker, he's definitely not my favorite guy.
Let's talk about this year's World Series, which has concluded, save for a 3.5-month break for the November 9. Of those November 9, the chip leader is J.C. Tran,
right?
Who is by far the most accomplished and tournament player in the field.
Right.
Do you root for him? Or maybe there's Jay Farber, who has like 4th place. He has somebody with no tournament cashes, but he has clearly the best tattoos out of everybody.
Yeah.
So who do you root for?
Well, I mean, I love J.C. Tran. He's awesome, and he's a great guy. He's an exceptional player. And I think it would be pretty cool for poker to have, someone as accomplished as J.C. to win. And obviously going in with the chip lead, he's in a pretty good spot to do so. However, I did actually do a little draft with David Gunslinger Bach.
Uh-huh.
And since Bach has Tran, I can't root for him. So I've got Farber, Benefield, McLaughlin, and somebody else. One other guy who's up near the top. Anyway, that Amir guy.
So you did this draft of players after the November 9 was set?
No. We did the draft when there was about 16 guys left, and we drafted 4 each.
Uh-huh.
So, and he drafted the only guy that didn't get there. He drafted Carlos
Mortensen, who went out 10th.
Right. So he's got Newhouse, Tran, and I don't know. Nobody took Loosely. He plays too loose.
Well, with that name, you can't have a winner, named Loosely. It's just
I'm also not going to take any guy whose last name's Tight. I want some guy who's in the middle.
Uh-huh. Very
good.
How
was the World Series for you this year?
I mean, I had some opportunities. Nothing came together. I would say overall it was small loser. I made one final table and unfortunately came 7th in the stud 8 or better that Mike Manisau won. So I mean, I don't know. There's some things I would like to improve upon, but overall, I worked hard. I gave a good effort. I felt like I brought my best game, almost all the time, and that's all you can do is hope to do your best, and things will fall as they will.
Gavin, you're a man known for prop bets.
Yeah, I've made a bet or two in my life. Yep.
Now you even hosted a program on the subject of prop bets.
yeah, Steve Bach and I did that.
All right, so your bets have sometimes involved marshmallows.
Yeah.
Sometimes tattoos. Sometimes other weird stuff. So tell us about some of the more interesting prop bets you've made, and some you won, some you lost.
I mean, I don't know. It's hard just to come up with prop bets. Basically, most of my bets are just ones that come up, spur of the moment. Like the marshmallow bet was when I was at the Bellagio, we were playing, and I was talking to Phil Locke, and he told me about how he and Antonio had done the marshmallow thing. And then he had told me that, Antonio won with some stupid number like 11 or 12 or something like that, and I thought it was ridiculous. I said, anybody can do that. I'll do 15.
Now, wait, what is the bet?
The bet is that you have to put a marshmallow in your mouth. You cannot swallow it. And you have to do one marshmallow every 10 seconds. And you have to get it in your mouth, and you have to be able to purse your lips. So I said I could do it. And he did not think I could, so I bet $500 with him. And then I also got $500 bet with Eric Seidel, who didn't think I could either. And that Eric Seidel dollars are really fun dollars to win because he doesn't lose very many. So, those are really ones you got to just pry out. So I was really happy to win that bet. But it was tremendously hard to do. And at the end of it, I when I got all the marshmallows out and I went into the bathroom, I was had a little blood in my mouth and stuff. It probably wasn't the smartest thing I've ever done. Well, I mean, it definitely wasn't the dumbest thing I've ever done, but it wasn't the smartest either.
Now, I watched you do it on the YouTube, and it seemed to me you had bad technique.
I don't think so. I think I had tremendous technique.
Now,
I was successful.
You were successful. You won the $1,000. And
how about this?
And you only got a little bit sick.
How about this? You can use whatever technique you want, and I'll bet you cannot do it.
I'm not taking that bet at this time, although I might want to go home and practice and see if I can do it.
Well, I didn't have any practice time.
I understand. I'm not known for my prop bets. But I think a smarter way to do it would have been to crush the marshmallows with your fingers.
I did do that.
And then put them in and chew them and stick them to the sides.
Chewing them is no good. They start to expand when you chew them.
So, but
you want to compact them and then stick them off to the side as much as you could, which is what I did.
Good.
If you chew them, you'll definitely not make it.
Very good. So,
I remember, being at a UBT event back when they were trying to get that off the ground, that Ultimate Blackjack Tour, and I remember, I think it was with Phil Hellmuth, you were spitting sunflower seeds, I think, and it seemed to me there was a lot more money than $500 or $1,000 being.
I don't. Well, you know what? Times were a lot better back then. It's getting harder with the internet being gone. But I don't remember the sunflower seed betting. But I can remember the UBT parties out at Lake Las Vegas, and I know there was a little drinking involved. So I don't doubt that it happened. I mean, Phil and I make a lot of silly prop bets, from time to time.
Right. What about, do you make bets with Huck Seed as well? He used to make
No. I have. I've got one right now with him that I bet. Tristan Wade told me he could beat him one-on-one in basketball. So I've got Tristan Wade and he's against Huck, but I don't like my spot because Huck's actively seeking out Tristan Wade now. I figure anytime he's excited to make a bet, he always wins. He's a freak. Like I think generally speaking,
that's a compliment. Is that correct?
Yeah, you don't make weird prop bets with Huck Seed. If he says he can do it, he's like that jack that'll spit out of the card. You know that old gambling story. If somebody bets you the jack will spit on your face, plan on having a wet face,
right?
Type thing. Huck's kind of like the jack. If he bets something, he's going to do it most of the time. Same with Ted Forrest usually. Like when he makes some weird ass bet, he's going to do it somehow. He's probably investigated it and he's figured it out and. So those two I kind of avoid if I can.
Now you have tattoo bets regularly, apparently, with Joe Seabuck.
Well, we've had two. We've had two bets. The first one I lost, and I had to get his initials tattooed on my back, which I did. But it turns out my mother's name is Joan Smith, so JS isn't the worst thing in the world to have on my back. It doesn't really look like JS. The other one we had that I won was with Madsen as well, Jeff Madsen, and it was a last longer. And the two guys that lost had to get the winner's face tattooed on them, and I won that one. But then we did a buyout of that one, so I ended up taking money instead of the obvious joy of having my face tattooed on their body.
Well, I'm wondering what that's worth. How much is it worth to avoid having a tattoo?
It was a pretty decent number. It was well into the five figures.
Wow.
Yeah,
pretty good. I wanted to ask you about, you're involved with a new online poker site coming up, Infinity Poker. So is this going to be in the United States? U.S. players will be able to play?
We're definitely going to try to launch in the United States. We're going to use Bitcoin to try to operate in the United States. By all investigation that they've done, it seems like it's something that we're going to be able to do. We're hoping to launch very soon, and we're going to have webcam tables so that you can actually sit and play and see who you're playing with and whatnot. I'll have my own room and probably be on the webcam a lot of the time, so people will be able to sit and play at my table with me. And we're excited about it.
Huh. And so for people who are interested, that's infinitypoker.com. And when are you projected to launch?
Hoping very early August. So in the next couple of weeks.
Now, is it state by state that you have to get this approved?
Well, I don't think that it's something that's going to be approved, but no, we're gonna launch right across the states using Bitcoin and see what happens.
Wow.
We're rogue people.
Yeah, so we're advertising that you're actively breaking the law. So get it.
We're not advertising. We're just discussing.
Oh, we're just discussing.
And actually, you're the one that brought up those bad terms.
All right. Did you want to talk about this anymore? Did you want to promote this anymore?
No, you suck.
Well, good. All right. And your mother has JS initials. Take that. All right. Now, there's a YouTube video of you.
Yeah, there's a few of those.
Yeah. One of them you had a little bit to drink, and you were playing Phil Ivey heads up.
Right.
Now you beat him. You had some cards, but you did beat him.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people have seen that video. Do you have any feelings, positive or negative, about that video being out there?
I wish I hadn't have done that. I apologize to everybody after it. I apologize to everybody who played at the table. And as a matter of fact, everyone at the table told me I had nothing to apologize about. They said I wasn't out of line or whatever. But I still think I crossed the line and had too much to drink. It was my first poker after dark that I ever played, and I don't know, for whatever reason I didn't really feel like I belonged, and I started drinking and did that. I feel like I played really well, but if I had it all, if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't have quite as much to drink.
Okay, well, After Dark probably won't be sponsored by Phil Tilt Poker anymore.
Well, I did do 4 more Poker After Dark after that episode.
Sounds like they forgave you.
So yeah, I don't think it was all bad, and I had a pretty decent record on Poker After Dark. I won 3 out of 5 that I played. I think that my history with Poker After Dark, although it will have a slight blemish with the Ivy episode, although it was very popular and watched a lot, I think overall my experience with Poker After Dark was pretty positive.
Good.
Are they still making that show?
No. Full Tilt is owned by PokerStars now, so
But Poker Stars, if they get approved in enough places here, may decide to do something similar.
Oh, I'm sure they'll do it. I'm sure they will do other shows, but they had some really cool ones of their own. And, Poker After Dark was a pretty cool show, so who knows? Maybe they'll come back. It was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, the show High Stakes Poker was good too. I liked the cash game aspect, because Poker After Dark in the beginning was like a tournament,
right?
But the High Stakes Poker was the cash game, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned a man who stiffed me, who I'm not mentioning his name as long as he keeps making payments. But now, in the poker world, having people not paying their debts must have happened a lot.
I mean, it does happen regularly. I believe that gambling is something that it can become too much from time to time, and I don't think people go into bets planning not to pay. But I think every now and again people get over their heads, and it happens. And for the most part, the industry's pretty honorable, and it always has been. And even the people that from time to time stiff, they generally make arrangements to make good on it and do so. And people make mistakes in life, and I don't know. I don't like to throw someone under the bus just for making a mistake that can happen to just about anybody.
Okay. Was borrowing money back and forth common in the poker world?
Yeah, it's pretty common. I mean, I think it used to be a lot more common. But yeah, it's pretty common. There's a lot of times, especially the higher the stakes, people will be loaning back and forth, a lot.
Are you playing? They have the new Ultimate Poker in Nevada. Are you playing online, or are those games too small? Do you play mostly cash games now, or?
I haven't. I have an account on Ultimate Poker, but I haven't actually played on it yet. I haven't deposited any money there yet. I might do that at some point, but I tend to think that I'll play more on Infinity Poker. I'll probably once we launch, I'll probably be exclusive to Infinity Poker. But yeah, lately I've been playing. During the World Series, obviously it was just 14 hours a day of tournaments. And lately I've been playing a little bit of mixed games at the Aria, and I'll get back into playing some No Limit around town a bit. I'll just play. I don't play as much as a lot of other people do. I've got a young family, so I spend a lot of time at home.
Yeah, kids will keep you busy.
Right.
Do you prefer tournaments, or do you prefer cash games?
I much prefer tournaments.
Why is that?
It's just a little more. There's a lot more excitement to it. it's all about once you get a stack and you can see the light or whatever, you can see the end. It's exciting, and going for the actual win of it all is great, and it keeps me more enthusiastic. I don't really enjoy playing poker that much anymore. I've been doing it an awful long time, and it's more like a job now than it was before. You know, it used to be, it used to be when I was dealing poker, I'd pay my manager $100 to not have to work so I could go play poker. I can't imagine I'd ever do that anymore. So I don't know. I find cash games just to be a little boring.
So you started playing, you were a poker dealer, and did you find that you started making more money playing, so you quit the job, or how did that transition happen?
Well, I was making more playing than I was dealing, so I was actually paying my manager most of the time to leave. But then what happened was they closed down the charity casinos that I was working at back in Canada. So I opened up an illegal poker club, and I hosted a game for close to a year, and then I went down and played tournaments at Foxwoods and whatnot, and liked it. Came back and sold my part of the club, and went. Were you
playing in your own games, or were you just making money off running?
Oh no! You got to play when the game's short. You know, you got to play to start games up, and then you got to play at the end of the night to keep them going. That's pretty standard in any club that you'll play at anywhere. The owners will always jump in the game when it gets short.
And you have to jump in whatever game needs you, whether it's stakes too low for you or stakes too high for you.
That's right.
And some of those games you may not have an edge at. I don't know. I don't know who else was playing up in your places, but it can be tough.
Yeah, there was lots of times I didn't have an edge. There was, but I clawed my way through. I did all right, and it was worthwhile with when at the end of the day when you were getting the rake and all that, it was worthwhile to give up a little bit of expectation.
Now, you had a series of poker videos sponsored by Black Velvet Canadian Whiskey.
Right.
Do you enjoy instructing others?
Yes and no. I mean, I don't think I'm very good at it, is the thing. I think I sometimes have a little bit of trouble expressing what I'm trying to express, and I don't communicate it as well as I could. But yeah, I enjoy it, and when people have success out of something I've told them or taught them, then I find that to be very rewarding. So that's kind of nice. But if I was a little bit better at getting my point across, and I get frustrated quickly. If I think something's a very easy concept and someone has trouble with it, it frustrates me very quickly. So
do you give private lessons?
I haven't. No, not yet. I suppose at some point in the future it might be possible.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest mistake that sort of poker players that are trying to get up to the next level, the biggest mistake that they're making?
I think probably playing too loose out of position. I think people underestimate. Even though everybody knows that position is the most important thing, I think everyone still underestimates it. I think it's that important, and I think that people think that their skill level or the fact that they can get bigger bets later in the hands or whatever make up for taking the worst of it in position, and I think they do so far too easily, and it hurts a lot.
If somebody wanted to get better at understanding position, which book, if any, would you recommend? Who does that?
I mean, I haven't read very many books, so I don't know.
So
I guess in tournaments, the best ones out there right now are Dan Harrington's things. Although I imagine Jonathan Little just released one that I imagine is probably pretty good. He's a pretty smart young kid. Super System was great for me. I mean, I thought Doyle's section of Super System was great, but it's a little older.
Now, also, you had a radio show yourself before, right? And what happened with that? Did you like doing radio?
Yeah, I did it for a long time. I did it for about 5 years. We started as the circuit on Card Player. Then we went to Poker Wire for Full Tilt. Then we went to Poker Road Radio when Joe and Barry had Poker Road going. It was awesome. It was fun. We had tremendously talented hosts, which made the job much easier. I'm sort of dipping my toes back in now. Chops Price and I are doing one on Wicked Chops Poker, doing a podcast. We've We're both a little bit flaky though, so we don't get as many podcasts out as we should. But but no, I enjoyed it. Yeah, as 5 years was a long time. Nearing the end, and we used to do it traveling. We do it at all the WPT stops. So nearing the end, it got to be tough. Whenever you busted out, you had to stay till the end of the event anyways because you did an episode every day, and it wore on me after 5 years. But definitely, I enjoyed it.
So, can people hear any of your current stuff now? And if so, how do they do that?
Absolutely. It's all up on Wicked Chops Poker, the Chops and Old G podcast.
All right. So can you spell that so we know what we're talking about?
WICKEDCHOPSPOKER.com.
Wicked Chops. What does that name mean?
Wicked Chops? I don't know. I mean, he got the name Chops as a college nickname, but I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what that came from. Then I just think Wicked Chops. It seemed like a cool name for him to call his site. So it's been around for quite a long time.
Huh. I will definitely be checking that out. Yeah.
So I am currently at the end of my questions for Gavin. So Munchkin is not jumping in there, so I'm guessing he would be at the end of his list. Well, Munchkin and I are in different states, so I don't have any eye contact with him. So do you have any more questions for Gavin, Richard?
Actually, I just would like to ask, we sort of mentioned in the poker world who you don't like, but who do you think are the best players out there currently?
Wow.
Other than yourself, of course.
Who are the best tournament players? I mean, there's quite a few that are all very good that could be good at any given time. Obviously, Ivy's fantastic. JC Tran's awesome. Eric Lindgren's great. Daniel Negreanu's fantastic. Scott Seaver's very good. Justin Bonomo. There's that David Benefield, I believe, is a pretty damn good player. Phil Galfon's obviously great. I mean, there's a ton of players that are just awesome players out there, and it's getting harder and harder. These young kids are all pretty smart, and they're all hard workers, and they're getting better and better. So
it also seems like the young players who do not live in the United States have a big edge if they can, play online every day, multi-tabling. You get to see a lot of hands.
I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you on that. And I had this conversation during the World Series with Jared Blesnick. Jared Blesnick made a comment about how the people that win tournaments are not. How come the people that win tournaments are never good players, poker players? So in turn to that, I commented back, why is it the people that always say that the guys that win tournaments aren't good players are always the guys that don't win tournaments, And, and then he wanted to yap off a little bit more or whatever, and all I said to him is, I said, we're sort of doing different things, just because you're good at sitting in front of a screen and playing 12 different tables at a time, that doesn't mean you're a good poker player. It's a different skill set. I said, that's like asteroids to me. I don't think necessarily you have to be a good poker player to be a tremendous online winner. I think that the skill sets to be a good what I consider to be a good poker player, don't necessarily apply to internet poker. I think being able to look a man in the eye and figuring out if he's strong or he's weak is very important to actual poker. I think that's what poker is. I think poker's a very social game. I think sitting behind a computer is the opposite of social. So
I also think it's a completely different game if you have something like poker table ratings where you can look at all the stats. Now it becomes really a statistics game,
right? Not
a poker game,
right? And by saying this, I'm not dogging any of the people that are very successful online. I mean, it's very impressive what some of these guys do. It's just, to me, it's a different thing. It's a different skill set, and all the power to them for being great at it. But I don't know. I just think I think that, and maybe it's just because I'm old school, but I think poker involves sitting around a table and talking and looking at people.
Would you also say that tournament poker is a different game than cash game poker? That the two may not one may be good at the one and not the other?
Oh, absolutely. I've always said that it's very difficult to be, at the top level of both, and that's why guys like Antonio Esfandari, Phil Ivey, some of these younger guys like Scott Seaver, these are all very impressive people because they're actually excelling at both forms, because it's completely different skill sets. I mean, with tournament poker, you have to be able to adapt to increasing blinds, and you have to be able to follow, stack size relative to the field and whatnot. Whereas in cash games, you just have to, pay attention to how many blinds you have and what your effective stack is, and just play pretty much the same the entire way. You don't have to make adjustments due to the blinds changing.
Yeah.
Now, on the final 9, the November 9, I think the oldest one might be J.C. Tran at 38 or something like that.
Yeah, no, J.C.'s 36. There's another guy that's 38. I'm not sure which guy it is. I think it's Amir Levahat.
But
Levahat or whatever.
38's not very old.
No, it's not.
And so usually there's a senior citizen in there somewhere, or by senior citizen I mean somebody in their 40s. So were you surprised that everybody was so young? And Carlos almost made it. He was number 10, and but he's over 40, I believe.
I think he just turned 40. But yeah, I mean, no, I'm not really surprised. I mean, it's definitely a young man's game. It's especially the main event. The main event's it's a grueling marathon, and obviously the younger people have a little bit of an edge. That being said, I totally think an older person can and will win again. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm going to win at some point, so I got to think an old guy's going to do it.
You actually had tweeted something about there was some headline about people who were rooting for Doyle Brunson who lasted, I don't know, a few days or something. What was that about? You sort of made a joke about it, about not rooting for Doyle.
I opened up the paper. I get the Las Vegas Review Journal delivered to my house, so I opened up the paper and there's a big old picture of Doyle there, and. So all I said at that point, there was about 700 people left, and I said, it looks like everyone's rooting for you, Doyle, although I can think of 700 that probably aren't.
I see.
I just mean all of his competition weren't rooting for him. And then a bunch of people tweeted back saying, no, but those 700 are probably rooting for him to come second.
Boy, that's true. That'd make for a great reputation builder to come in second. I mean, if you had to lose, you couldn't ask for somebody better to come in second to you.
Right. Absolutely, it would be cool. And the media would be crazy. Media around Doyle getting there would be crazy. But, he had a good deep run, and it wouldn't have taken very much for him to get there. And I don't know, that old boy keeps proving that he can handle these long days. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Johnny Moss was that way, too, at the end.
Yeah, these guys got some stamina.
So,
go ahead.
Gavin, thank you very much.
Hey, no problem.
We very much appreciate you being on here, and we learned some stuff, and thank you very much for being on Gambling with an Edge.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
So, Munchkin, what did we learn tonight, other than it's possible for the right guy to stuff 15 marshmallows into his mouth all at the same time?
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I learned. I one time tried to make one of those cool hand Luke bets, eating 50 hard-boiled eggs. When I was younger, and I realized before I make those kind of prop bets, I should check them out ahead of time. You know what I mean?
You should practice.
I did not do well with the eggs.
Yeah, I don't actually. Just thinking about that is too much information. Good. I thought he was. Well-spoken and answered he didn't dodge any questions. I thought that was good.
No, actually, and I really appreciated his candor, about Men the Master. I really appreciate it when somebody is not afraid to say how they feel.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one reason we like Daniel Negreanu on this show. He came on and he said what he thought about Annie Duke and Howard Lederer.
Right.
And he wasn't nearly as nice about them as Gavin was about Men the Master. All right. So the South Point has more than 10,000 games, returning more than 99%. That's more than anybody else. Every Monday in July, the South Point is offering double points on video poker and point multipliers, and on slots as well. There are no limits, and no machines are excluded. all month long, the casino is holding a $600,000 Money Madness promotion. A progressive begins at $10,000 and must hit by $25,000. All players in the casino actively playing with a slot card in place are eligible to win. If you're playing when the jackpot hits, you'll receive $20 in free play, assuming you're not the winner of the actual jackpot. Then the progressive starts all over again at $10,000. Also, every day at 10 a.m., a $1,000 progressive begins and must be hit by $2,500. So if you're playing after 10 a.m., before that smaller progressive hit, you're actually playing for both progressives. On Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., they have a $5,200 seniors slot tournament. At the Palms, there are drawings at 8 p.m. Friday and Saturday nights with the theme of $100,000 Fun in the Sun. The first 5 winners are all equal. They go to a board and pick off prizes that are going to be worth somewhere between $800 and $7,000, depending on which game piece they select. Winners 6 through 10 are also equal. They get $250 and they're done. On Fridays and Saturdays between 8 p.m. and midnight, you receive 5 times drawing tickets for the next drawing. If you're playing Friday, the 5 times only applies to the Saturday drawing, so you need more tickets in the Saturday drawing to win than you do on Friday. And if you play on Saturday nights, it applies towards the next 2 weeks. To play, earn, and win Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the second half of the month are things such as a rocking chair, a Kindle Fire, a various
That's
types,
an odd combination.
various fans, and so it's basically a relaxing kind of a thing. So the idea is you relax in your rocking chair and read your Kindle Fire. So which is okay. So I have, and your tickets you earn on Monday, Wednesday will all apply on Friday. So if you want to play Monday enough for 3 Kindle Fires, you can play that much, and you collect them 1 each day. But at the end of Friday night midnight, it all expires. On Video Poker for Winners, they have a daily contest every day, and so for Friday, it's going to be Big Times Draw Poker. Saturday is going to be Classic Single Line, which is Game King. On Sunday, it's 25 Play Super Times Pay. Beginning July 24th, for the 8 days through the end of the month, they will have their monthly contest, which is Ultimate Aces. I will go over the strategy next week for Ultimate Aces in a casino. Your strategy in these tournaments is to get lucky, because dealt big hands are what's going to win in these tournaments. But playing all these new games on the videopoker.com website is a good way to get familiar with them. It's free to join, and there are various kinds, and the gold membership, which is a modest amount, allows you on the website without any ads. If you get the free membership, then you will get some ads along with your video poker games. Our guest next week will be Kent Goulding, former backgammon player and current poker player and all-around advantage player. We also have, in the near future, there will be a tax expert. We'll be talking about taxes, and one of the things we'll be talking about is people who have failed to pay taxes for a number of years and how they get back into the system if they can. Michael Shackelford was in the news today, which is Shaq is a former co-host of this show, had been a frequent guest, and so there's this trial in New York that involves cheating at Baccarat, and they're citing the wizardofodds.com as the source of the knowledge of somehow players were able to get the casino to mark 7s, 8s, and 9s. Well, this was the thing that first struck me about the article. It actually was in Connecticut. The men were from New York.
but it was at Mohegan Sun. They were charged with cheating at Baccarat, but they said that they had convinced the dealer to mark sevens, eights, and nines. And my immediate thought was, did they actually mark? Did the dealer actually mark the cards, or was this like the Phil Ivey thing, where the dealer is turning the cards based on, what the men are asking them to do? And I don't know the answer. I mean, it's a completely different story if the dealer was actually marking them.
I can't believe a dealer was actually had a felt tip pen and marking them while they're playing. That doesn't seem very likely, but it's possible. But rotating around with edge sorting is possible. But
right. But to my mind, that would not be cheating if they fell for this same thing that Phil Ivey had done.
It would just be a stupid casino management.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But again, the article doesn't really have enough detail to know. But yes, they brought up Shaq's name because I guess the prosecutor had printed out pages from the Wizard of Oz website so that he could tell the jurors about the advantage if a 7, an 8, or a 9 is coming in Baccarat. The defense then said, well, this makes you a, gambling expert because you printed out some pages off the internet, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, well, they apparently had never heard of thewizardofodds.com or Michael Shackelford, although people on this show know both of those, and a lot of us use that website as a resource.
Yeah, and I think the defense actually made a really good point. I mean, the prosecution happened onto a very reputable site with accurate numbers, but it was just a site he found on the internet. And if they wanted to present these things, why not hire an expert witness? I mean, that's what expert witnesses are for. Although the judge ended up allowing it, saying, I guess the point is not really what exactly is your edge when you're betting into a 9. The fact that you have an edge is all that's really relevant, I guess.
Now, in a few weeks, we're going to be having a tax expert on, and so we have about 5 minutes today. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the things we were going to be talking about. There are listeners. Well, let me rephrase that. In video poker, when you get W2Gs for $1,200 jackpots and higher, you're forced to get into the system. So you better deal with those W2Gs. Now, in other gambling games, they're not these financial records. So you can be a winning blackjack player who never files, or a winning other kind of gambling game player who never files.
Yeah, poker. Actually, assuming that we get this guy, he was actually set up at the World Series of Poker, soliciting poker players to get business. But yeah, the poker and table games is a cash business. So it's a different animal from the people who are playing video poker and getting those W2Gs. But one of the things that I want to talk to him about is I have a friend who wants to buy a house, and he has to put down $150,000 down payment. And, he doesn't have that much money in a bank account where he can write a check. And, I had another friend.
Does he have that much cash?
Oh, yeah, he has the cash. So, it means he's going to have to go into a bank and deposit $150,000 in cash.
They look kind of suspiciously at that.
Well, they may, yeah. And one of the things I was saying to him is that your goal should be to get your money into the system so that you can invest it, so that you can do things like buy a house or put it into the market, because you need a certain amount of operating capital, right? But once you have over, say, $100,000, it does you no good to have $500,000 sitting in the safe deposit box. You don't need that much bankroll in cash. So if you put that money into the system and pay the taxes as you should, then you can put it into the stock market or whatever kind of investment you want. And that's what I really try to encourage these people to do. I had another friend who wanted to buy a house and didn't understand that the house cost $700,000, and he didn't understand why he couldn't just show up with a suitcase of cash at the escrow company and give them $700,000 in cash. And they just would not accept that. They insisted that he had to give them a check, cashier's check. So.
And so when he deposits $700,000 into Bank of America, there are forms to fill out.
There are, but I will say you're much better off doing that in Las Vegas, probably, than any other city in the United States. Banks in Las Vegas are used to seeing more cash than other cities, although $700,000 is an awful lot.
Now, 6 or 7 years ago, when the stock market took a dump and lost something like 50% of its value in a relatively few months, a lot of us were carrying in safety deposit boxes, I had well over $250,000 because I didn't know that where my stock market assets were going to end up. I didn't know that the system might not collapse. And it turned out it didn't, and now the stock market's higher than it's ever been, but I didn't know that then. So I had the cash in case.
Well, yeah, you need to, depending on the level that you play, you need to have a certain amount of bankroll in cash. But once you get past that point, what do you do with the rest of it? In my case, I want to put it into real estate and into the stock market. So that the cash can be going to work.
Yeah, and so now you don't. And I was not playing for stakes anywhere near that I could possibly lose $250,000 in a short period of time. But if the market was going to go away, the market was going to collapse, which I didn't know at that time. And some people still think the market's has the potential to do that, even though it's at record highs. So who knows?
Well, but you don't have to have it in cash. You could have put it into treasury bills too, right? Or something, or gold, or something like that.
There are a lot of people who put it in gold, and gold isn't worth anywhere near today what it was then. So people who chose that option were worse off than they were keeping it in cash. But I would think taking a couple gold bars into the escrow office wouldn't have worked well either.
Right. Well, I own a few gold coins, but when I wanted to purchase more gold, I purchased it. There's you can buy it like a stock. I forget what it's called.
There are gold certificates, but physical gold has problems with it. You need to assay it. You need to store it in a secure place, and then when you sell it, it has to be assayed again to make sure you didn't contaminate it somehow.
Well, not if you buy, American Eagles or, Cougarans or things like that.
Yes, and you can get those pretty much at face value, but who has any idea what they're going to be in 2 or 3 years?
Well, yeah, I agree. I'm just saying that you can take your money out of the stock market and still have it in something other than.
All right, we are
cash.
out of time. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Gavin. Go out and hit lots of royal flushes, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Listening to Gambling with an Edge with your hosts Bob Dancer and Richard Munchkin. Subscribe to the show in iTunes, and episodes will be delivered to you automatically every week. Archived versions of past shows may be found at bobdancer.com and richardmunchkin.com. We welcome emails at gamblingwithanedge@gmail.com. Bob Dancer and Richard Munchkin are both available on Facebook and welcome your questions. The sponsors for the show are the South Point Hotel, Casino and Spa, the M Resort, the Palms Casino Resort, and the website videopoker.com. Join us again next week for another Gambling with an Edge.